Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Mugnya, and I would like to thank you guys for joining me today. Today, as I react to the latest in sports, politics mainly, and just cultural issues, and I'm really glad to be able to show you or to bring you this news for those of you who have missed it, to show you very clearly that we're living in a world that has lost any semblance of just wisdom, and where people are basically um, they basically just advertise whatever identity they have, the identity flavor of the month that they have, instead of actually living in the real world with the rest of us. Okay, and one such group of people are all found in the state of Michigan that we're going to look at very soon, where now there is a bill that is making its way through the state legislature, where they're hoping to basically control your speech, right? So remember Jordan Peterson a while ago, a few years ago when he was in Canada, where he refused, and this is how he became famous, where he refused to use language that is not um, uh, basically to where he was going to be forced. I believe it was Bill C-16, where he was going to be forced to use a student or anyone preferred pronoun. And a lot of the liberals at the time were like, well, why is it that you're so worried about that? You shouldn't be worried about that. Nobody is going to send you in jail and blah 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 blah. Okay, that's what we were told. But as it turns out now, we know that that was complete nonsense, because since then, more and more bills, whether in Canada, where people clearly are like completely crazy, for lack of a better word. But this time it's in Michigan, as I said, and it's a bill that is likely going to criminalize misgendering or using the wrong pronoun. Uh, Imagine that, okay? Using the wrong pronoun. So I'm going to react to it. Hopefully, you'll be able to follow. So without further ado, let's get into this. Um, so Michigan resident could be charged with a felony, face up to 5 years in prison, and get $10,000 fine for using the wrong pronoun. Okay, under a likely unconstitutional new bill. Okay, so the Michigan House has approved a hate speech bill, HB 4474, that will criminalize causing someone to feel threatened by words. The bill aims to replace the current Ethnic Intimidation Act and includes sexual orientation and gender identity or expression as protected classes. So, offender could face up to 5 years in prison for the felony offense. Some have argued that the legislation could infringe on free speech right. So Michigan House of Representatives has passed a hate speech bill known as HB 4474, which criminalizes, causing someone to feel threatened by word, including the misusing of their pronouns, with the possibility of a hefty fine or even jail time. The bill introduces hate speech penalties for causing someone to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened with sexual orientation or gender identity or expression included as a protected classes. Offender could face up to 5 years in prison for such a felony offense of 10,000. It is part of a continued effort by Democrats in the state to advance a pro-LGBTQ plus agenda in the first months in power. The proposed legislation aims to replace the existing Ethnic Intimidation Act and extend protection against intimidation. So, Critics argue that the bill poses a threat to the First Amendment rights and lacks clarity in defining harassment, leaving it open to subjective interpretation. The bill reads as follows: intimidate means willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuing harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable individual to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened, and that actually causes the victim to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened. If passed, penalties will be based on how the supposed victim and court feel about a particular matter. What constitutes as being deemed intimidation and harassment will be up to interpretation of the listener and of a local prosecutor. Okay, so there you go. There is a capture here of the bill itself, how it defines things, and the penalties. Okay, and so it's written there. So the actual or perceived characteristic of another individual referenced under subsection 1 include all the following: race or color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, physical or mental disability, age, ethnicity, national origin, association or affiliation with an individual group, and so on and so forth. Okay, so very clearly they're showing you their hand, ladies and gentlemen. It's very clear, and this is an affront to First Amendment rights, because ultimately what they're hoping for you to do, because you see, it's not just about the freedom of speech. Ultimately, what they want is to silence you. What they want is for you to not even be able to form ideas, because the words that we speak, okay, those words come from what we have at first thought in our head. And this is the problem with these people, right? They wouldn't describe themselves as fascist, but just go as far as if Hitler was able back in the day to actually dictate people what they have to think, what they must think. This is insanity. And sadly, it's the world in which we live these days, where where people lose everything and they're not even able to form ideas. They're not able to form coherent ideas. And they will force you instead to say things that you don't believe in, right? So this is the world that we live in, sadly. And we need to realize that these people are after our freedoms, and they don't actually care who they're going to hurt in the process, because they think they have the right to dictate to you what you must think, how you must think, and the words that you must say. So let me be clear. If such a law was ever passed in the country where I live, I would not support it. In fact, I will very much disobey that, because my right to form ideas is my own, and I will never, ever surrender that. Not to the state, not to anybody. And we're done trying to pretend that these people want equality. They don't want equality, they want special rights. They want special rights that only apply to them. Because if you speak with them and say, well, just like in the circumstances that where you've seen where the name, where the law is mentions when, uh, for example, where it mentions religion as well. A lot of people will not look at that, and they will just go and look at, oh well, sexual orientation and gender, blah 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 blah, nonsense. Okay. So this is what I have to say about this story. I believe it is a step too far, and I think people are crazy. Like, the Democrats are crazy, and we can't pretend that those Democrats and liberals are not crazy. And something needs to be done to rein this kind of behavior in. And I hope you guys can agree with me on that. So yeah, so I would like to thank you all for joining me today. If you like my channel and you want to support it, once again, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.